It's genuinely hard to argue that Simgot had an absolutely successful year in 2023, with the releases being some of the most hyped and talked about sets. But that just means that expectations are at an all-time high this coming 2024, with their upcoming releases. Today, let's talk about the update to their legendary set that got people talking about them. The EA500LM. The EA500LM is priced at $89 and boasts numerous improvements from its predecessor, including a rather curious diaphragm that was such a big change that it found itself in the name of the thing itself, the lithium magnesium diaphragm. Let's find out whether that's just all marketing kahuni, or does Simgot have another legend in the making. The box of the LM is something to be adored with by its intricate space-themed design printed through a pearlescent finish. Opening the box, you're met with EA500LMs, a large splitter case, the cable, 2 pairs of tuning nozzles, and some ear tips. The overall packaging is what you'd expect from Simgot, which means you get everything you need and nothing you don't. The ear tips are adequate and the case is quite nice and spacious, but you can't help but feel like just a little bit more goodies would have made the overall packaging more appealing. But hey, at least they give you an extra nozzle. The EA500LM follows a very similar build to its predecessor with its premium, full metal glossy finish and interchangeable nozzles. The only difference is that the LM has a darker, gunmetal coloration and a distinct LM logo on the right ear. It is undoubtedly premium and comfortable, but not the most stable due to the lack of wings to contour into your ears. It is also a fingerprint magnet due to its glossy finish, so be sure to take care of these if you want them to stay premium looking. The cable is your basic, thin 2-strand OFC cable terminated to 3.5mm. It has a black and white coloration that honestly fits the LM well, but keen-eyed viewers would also notice this is just the AM6 cable with a better interface and a 2-pin connector instead of QDC. Moving on to the sound, the E500 features their brand new 2nd generation lithium magnesium and 2nd generation dual magnet and dual cavity. This translates to a rather nimble, bright U-shaped sound signature with a healthy low end, occasional distant sounding mid-range, and an emphasized upper mids to treble region that is a hallmark of the EA500 sound. It is quite easy to drive, but I would definitely recommend using a dongle DAC to improve dynamics and smoothen the top end. The bass is quite deep and rumbles when the track calls for it, but it keeps it quite clean and tight. It has a sub-bass over mid-bass emphasis, so the mids are generally bloat-free and doesn't color the rest of the mid-range. However, the mid-bass is quite lacking for my tastes and lacks a little bit of tactility and punch. It makes the overall sound clean in return, but I would personally have preferred a little bit more mid-bass energy. Moving on to the mids, it is very clean, open, and nuanced. Lower mids are quite open and clean, but might lack a little bit of note weight and emphasis due to a somewhat more distant sound on certain mixes. Upper mids are quite forward and energetic, giving the instruments and vocals a lot of nuance and energy. It might reach south territory if you have lower tolerances, but I personally found that the vocals to be quite wonderful on these. The treble is expectedly the highlight, with the higher frequency instruments being very sparkly with good micro detail while still being very well controlled and never splashy or edgy. It is very airy and well extended, but doesn't sound harsh or sibilant unless you push it too high in terms of volume. It's definitely not for treble sensitives, however, as the lack of a mid-bass contrast puts a lot of focus on the upper frequency instruments and vocals. Moving on to the technicalities, it is expectedly top of its class with superb separation and layering, as well as a rather open head stage. Imaging isn't the most fantastic, but it plays to complement the rest of the technicalities very well. It is not quite holographic, but you can hear the small details and even more complex mixes that showcase how capable the driver they used in conjunction to the tuning. Compared to the other tuning nozzles, the silver nozzle red ring slightly boosts both ends, but the difference is very minimal in my opinion. The black ring, on the other hand, has a tighter, leaner bass presentation and an even more forward upper mid-range that brings out vocals and treble details at the cost of potentially sounding a little bit harsh. Compared to other sets, let's compare it to its predecessor, the EA500. Fundamentally, the EA500LM diverts from the tuning philosophy of the EA500, as the EA500 has a more neutral bright tuning, while the LM features a more U-shaped leaning bright sound. This means that the EA500LM is more engaging and fun to listen to, but doesn't sound as natural or neutral as the EA500. Technicalities are slightly above on the EA500LM, as there is a cleaner separation and a more expansive stage. It is honestly not an upgrade to the EA500, more so of a different flavor that follows their more recent sets like the EW200 and EM6L, with more focus on fun rather than their neutral bright. Speak of the devil, let's compare to the EW200. The EA500LM is basically the upgrade to the EW200 in every single way. Better build, more dynamic and tight bass, cleaner mids, and a much cleaner treble. If you've been looking to upgrade your EW200 but still want to keep a very similar sound, well, the EA500 is the perfect choice. Now compared to the EM6L, this isn't as close of a comparison, more so of a different sound altogether. The EM6L has a smoother, more forgiving sound compared to the EA500LM, but the EA500LM has a more dynamic and lively sound compared to the EM6L. The EM6L is cleaner sounding than the EA500LM, however, so those sensitive to treble might prefer the EM6L, although it can get kinda hot as well. However, those who prefer a more dynamic and lively sound should choose the EA500LM instead. Compared to the Muse Hi-Fi the East 6, the East 6 is a more relaxed, neutral sounding set compared to the EA500LM. The EA500LM is ahead in terms of technicalities, detail, and extension, while the East 6 has honestly better timbre and tonal balance compared to the EA500LM. However, it's honestly really hard to defend the East 6 rather subpar technical ability, as it sounded considerably cheaper compared to the EA500LM. Lastly, let's compare it to the EA1000. It is not quite the mid-range killer yet, as the EA1000 is still overall better than the EA500, minus the low-end quantity being more on the latter. Texture is considerably better than the EA1000, mids are more natural sounding, and the treble is more detailed, better separated, and airier. I wouldn't say that it's a direct upgrade from the EA500LM, but it definitely makes the EA500LM the sort of middle ground between the EW200 and the EA1000. To conclude, the EA500 is another fantastic set from Simgot, highly technical, very fun, very bright leaning set that caters to those who want a very capable sounding IEM to bring out the details in your music. It's not quite the EA500 upgrade, but it's definitely a very fun and capable set for under $100. It's hard to find sets that are as detailed and technical as the EA500LM, but you should also be wary that the set is not for the faint of heart or weak ears, depending on how you classify treble sensitive fellows. Me? I love this thing. Not as much as the EA500, but it does give me hope that 2024 will be another amazing year for Simgot. Thank you for watching my review on the Simgot EA500LM. Big thanks to Simgot for sending over the EA500LM for my honest impressions. If you would like to order one, consider using the non-affiliated link below. And with that, OB Audio out.